Welcome to the Congregational Church of San Mateo. Here we are alive at 225, and we're so glad you've joined us on this Martin Luther King Jr. Sunday. Welcome wherever you're tuning in from, whoever you are, wherever you are on your journey, whatever is going on in your life, whatever faith stage you're at, you are welcome and celebrated here. We want you to feel loved and seen for who you are and what you bring to this community. We're so glad that you've joined us. I'll remind you to go ahead and if you have prayers to either email them to us or put them in the chat so that we can pray for one another. Look at your online bulletin after the service and commit to praying for someone in your own way this week. It will make a difference. We want to lift up prayers for our healthcare workers, our teachers and students, parents, particularly of young children for whom there's not a vaccine yet. We want to pray for the families and communities impacted by the fires in New York and Philadelphia a week ago. And we want to pray for one another. So go ahead and really hold one another. Today we continue our series, Faith Beyond Belief, and also talk just a bit about the legacy of Martin Luther King Jr. Today we'll have an opportunity a bit later in the service for our plate offering to give to the Peninsula Multi-Faith Coalition, who sponsors the Martin Luther King Day of Service that happens tomorrow, and I know many of our youth are participating in that as well. You'll hear a lot of wonderful music in this service. If you tuned in early enough, you heard an amazing prelude. Roger Kellaway is an American composer who's composed for television and movies, jazz ensembles, chamber music, and won many awards. And also, Zach Spellman is the principal tubist for the San Francisco Opera Orchestra. And Karen Hutcherson is a longtime friend, an incredible pianist here at CCSM. And this song was written for Martin Luther King Jr. and for Zach to play it. And so we are so blessed to have it. You'll hear a short piece in the middle of the service, and then you'll hear the third piece as the postlude. And it's an amazing thing. So settle in and open yourself to new ways of thinking about faith. Open yourself to the legacy and spirit of Martin Luther King Jr. today as we sing together.
friends, on this Martin Luther King Jr. weekend as we celebrate the dream of justice and equality that Martin Luther King Jr. had. I have a story to share with you which reminded me a little bit of that. It's called What Do You Do With an Idea by Kobe Yamada. And I'm not going to read you the whole book today, but just to catch you up on the story so far, it is about a child who has an idea and wants to nurture the idea and feed the idea and let it grow. But there's some people who say, I'm not sure. Maybe you should just let that one go. So here is the story. But then I realized those people who said my idea wasn't very good, what do they know? This is my idea. No one knows it like I do. And it's okay if it's different and weird and maybe even crazy. I decided to protect my idea and care for it. I fed it good food. I worked with it and played with it. But most of all, I gave it my attention. And my idea grew and grew, and so did my love for it. I built it a new house with an open roof where it could look up at the stars, a place where it could be safe to dream. I liked being with my idea. It made me feel more alive, like I could do anything. It encouraged me to think big, and then to think bigger. It shared its secrets with me. It showed me how to walk on my hands because it said, it's good to have the ability to see things differently. It became that I couldn't imagine my life without it. This is the idea, if you haven't figured that out yet. Then one day, something amazing happened. My idea changed right before my very eyes. It spread its wings, took flight, and burst into the sky. I don't know how to describe it, but it went from being here to being everywhere. It wasn't just a part of me anymore. It was now a part of everything. And then I realized what you do with an idea. You change the world. So I hope this story reminded you to nurture your ideas, to let them grow and let them become bigger even than you, so that they can change the world, so that it can become a more just place, a more loving place, a more peaceful place for all people.
Good morning. My name is Diane Farmer, and I'm the current president of the board of directors of the Peninsula Multi-Faith Coalition. My faith house is Mercy Center in Burlingame. I wanted to share with you a little bit about our work. Peninsula Multi-Faith Coalition brings together diverse faith communities to build bridges of understanding and respect. We're a group of 24 faith houses on the peninsula, and this is Martin Luther King Sunday. So one of our signature works of service is our Martin Luther King Day of Service. I would like to share the screen and go to our website and show you a few pictures. You still have the opportunity, if you go to our website, of registering for the education section, which has to do with Martin Luther King and the people that work with him in his March on Washington. And you can find the registration form on our website. So you can see that it takes some funds to put on this day of service. And that's a big part of our Peninsula Multi-Faith Coalition budget goes towards that. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you. And if you have any questions, please contact me. I'll give my contact information to Reverend Penny, and thank you again.
Today's scripture is a very familiar one to Christians all over the world. In 1 Corinthians 13, Paul has one of the central messages of the Christian faith, that love is supreme and that work without love is completely meaningless. Hear now Paul's words to the people at Corinth and to us. If I speak in the tongues of mortals and of angels, but do not have love, I am a noisy gong or a clanging cymbal. And if I have prophetic powers and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, And if I have all faith so as to remove mountains, but do not have love, I am nothing. If I give away all my possessions, and if I hand over my body so that I may boast, but do not have love, I gain nothing. Love is patient, love is kind, love is not envious or boastful or arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice in wrongdoing, but rejoices in the truth. It bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never ends. But as for prophecies, they will come to an end. As for tongues, they will cease. As for knowledge, it will come to an end. For we know only in part, and we prophesy only in part. But when the complete comes, the partial will come to an end. When I was a child, I spoke like a child, I thought like a child, I reasoned like a child. When I became an adult, I put an end to childish ways. For now we see in a mirror dimly, but then we will see face to face. Now I know only in part, then I will know fully, even as I have been fully known. And now faith, hope, and love abide, these three. And the greatest of these is love.
During the month of January, we've been talking about faith beyond belief. And we've used Brian McLaren's book, Faith After Doubt, because McLaren characterizes doubt as a passageway from one stage of faith to another. Last week, we talked about the stages of simplicity, complexity, and perplexity. And if you haven't listened in to that sermon, I invite you to do that so that this sermon will make a little more sense. This week I got an email from somebody reflecting on their own journey, and they said, in simplicity, I was told who I am and what to think. In complexity, I found my own authentic self and purpose. In perplexity, I found that religion and I did not have all the answers, and that questions became as important as answers. And then he goes on to say, and that led me to, those questions, that led me to new sources of revelation and worlds of meaning, into the stage that we're going to talk about today, harmony. For McLaren, perplexity, that stage of perplexity is the transition to harmony. Perplexity is all about cynicism, questioning, disengagement, disillusionment. But as doubt in perplexity leads to harmony, in the stage of harmony, harmony has the ability, that stage, to embrace the non-dualistic thinking. When one enters the stage of harmony, you begin to be able to hold binaries in larger context and see a greater unity. Harmony really is a different way of seeing, a different way also of interpreting experiences. Many people stay in the stage of perplexity for a long time, particularly people who have been disaffected by institutionalized religion. But I want to contend that many people that are in perplexity, though disillusioned, really long for what is the state of harmony, whether they return to church or not. And that stage of perplexity often leads them to the stage of harmony. Harmony is all about mystery, that there's something beyond, but that it is a mystery. And that, as that email said, we have less answers and more questions. I think of harmony as Rumi puts it. Rumi has this wonderful quote, "Out beyond the ideas of right doing and wrongdoing, there's a field. Meet me there." That field of Rumi, when I can be in that field that Rumi so eloquently describes, it's a field that is beyond judgment, beyond correct beliefs or any notion of correct beliefs. It is a field of deep recognition of one another, a profound knowledge of our interconnectedness and interdependentness. It's a field of right relationship, enfolded, enveloped in love. In that field, love is primary. Love is ultimate. You know, we throw around that word love so much in our society. I want to offer you a description of love by Valerie Kaur, who is from the Sikh religion, and she writes a beautiful book called See No Stranger, and that book is about revolutionary love. She says, love is more than a feeling. Love is a form of sweet labor, fierce, bloody, imperfect, and life-giving, a choice we make over and over again. If love is sweet labor, she goes on, love can be taught, modeled, and practiced. And this labor engages all of our emotions. Joy is the gift of love. Grief is the price of love. Anger is the force that protects that which is love. And when we think we have reached our limit, wonder is the act that returns us to love. McLaren would say that doubt is the passageway, and in fact, he would say doubt is love, or doubt as love. Doubt is the doorway to love, he says. It prepares us for a humble and harmonious faith, a faith that expresses itself in love. That, friends, is the stage of harmony. In harmony, life is a gift, a mysterious gift perhaps. But God, if God is even named, is a loving presence, is that creative wisdom known through experience and metaphor. If you're in the stage of harmony, you are asking yourself regularly, what can I do? How can I be part of the common good? You know, I wasn't going to use this, but I just feel compelled to. When I first came to California in 1991, I was deep in the stage of perplexity, disillusioned, disengaged, cynical, in a lot of confusion and a lot of pain, spiritual and emotional pain. And if you had asked me at that moment what I had ever, if you described the state of harmony, would I have reached that stage? I probably would have told you no. But what I found was that loving presence through experience. That was 30 years ago, and I was just coming out. And I had been told all my life that I couldn't love God and love women. But that was not my experience of love or of God. In the stage of harmony, everything belongs. There's no distinction between the sacred and the secular, and all is connected. In harmony, faith is a humble, reverent openness to mystery that expresses itself in non-discriminatory, revolutionary love. That faith that invites us to go beyond our labels, beyond our ingrained prejudices that are part of the air we breathe, beyond our notions of right doing and wrong doing, beyond even moral codes that religion sets up to keep people in certain places. And if the congregation was full, the pews were full this morning, I would say, is anybody with me? It's that kind of love that walks right into this messy, beautiful world, and love that takes the world as it is in this moment. And sometimes that is really hard to do. I'm finding it very difficult these days to take the world as it is and then to ask myself, how do I show up as a loving presence in this world, in this moment? So the stage of harmony sounds like it's an enlightened stage. But I want to offer that we touch the state of harmony, or the stage of harmony, and maybe it's more like a state that we visit off and on. We embrace it as a path, but it will be a lifelong practice to make it a way of life. Somebody this week sent me another email about this and really helped me think about it. Somebody very dedicated and devoted to the church. He said, I believe I have stayed pretty much in perplexity throughout most of my adult life after college. In the past 15 years or so, especially with this band of brothers, that's a group here at CCSM, during the last 10 of those years, I have seen glimmers of harmony. Not that I'm a full participant in harmony, I still only see glimmers. He says, I like the thought of loving all my neighbors, but putting it into practice is another thing. And he said so honestly and authentically, for now I can only aspire to having revolutionary love, loving as God loves, graciously, extravagantly. But I'm still alive now, and I can grow. That really helped me think about the stage of harmony. It's hard to call it a stage when it's so difficult to live in revolutionary love on a regular, consistent basis. I know that I have visited states of harmony many different times, whether it was worshiping with a Muslim on my left side and a Jew on my right side, and having an experience of divine love that transcended all our religious differences and united us in a way that was a moment of pure spiritual ecstasy. Or whether it was walking a spiral with a group of women in the woods and feeling my female ancestors who I knew walked the spiral centuries and millennia ago. Faith in the stage of harmony or the state of harmony is a sense of oneness. Brian McLaren puts it this way: faith before doubt is about correct beliefs. Faith after doubt, it's about revolutionary love. So we could ask ourselves, are we people of faith or are we people of beliefs? Faith after doubt, it's about revolutionary love, and that is such a profound, central piece of our Christian scriptures. whether it's the Sermon on the Mount or the Great Commandment, the new commandment and covenant Jesus makes, whether it's the beautiful words that were read for us this morning from 1 Corinthians 13, though I give away all my possessions but have not love, I am nothing. So to sum it up, in harmony, faith expressing itself as love. It's that simple. Just take that sentence with you. Faith expressing itself in love. One of the best examples of that is Martin Luther King Jr. One of the best examples of someone who lived in the stage of harmony is this prophet, this pastor, this teacher, this activist, this civil rights leader. King knew, along with Cornel West, that justice is what love looks like in public. Love means that no one's humanity is contested. Love means that any blessings that I enjoy, I want for you. When you read King's writings, you can see him exemplifying the perspective of the stage of harmony everywhere. He says, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice anywhere. We are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. Those of you that have been part of this community for years will know that Martin Luther King Jr. is one of my most powerful role models as a leader, as a pastor, as a prophet, as an activist. Because he expressed his faith in love. It propelled him forward, though so many forces raged against him. Whether it was fire hoses or snarling dogs or bully clubs or the government or the police or the white church. The law was not on his side. The police were not on the side. A racist society were not on his side. But love and right and justice was on his side. And he chose to be an extremist for love. And that is what would get him killed. In his famous letter from Birmingham jail, he said, was not Jesus an extremist for love? He ends that letter by saying, so the question is not whether or not we will be extremists, but what kind of extremist will we be? Will we be extremists for hate, or will we be extremists for love? Will we be extremists for the preservation of justice or the causes of injustice? Tavis Smiley, who wrote a recent book called The Death of a King, said, the bottom line is, King put the idea of love at the center of our public discourse. Love translates to mean the equal worth of all living beings just because they exist. And Tavis says, I truly believe that the future of our democracy is inexplicably linked to how seriously we take the legacy of Dr. King. And that legacy, he continues, is justice for all, service to others, and the love that liberates all people. Dr. King exemplified the stage of harmony. And there was a handwritten note discovered in just 2020, a note that he wrote on a postcard that said, love is the greatest force in the universe. It is the heartbeat of the moral cosmos. He who loves is a participant in the being of God. For me, that is a greater definition of the stage of harmony than even McLaren himself can find. I'll close with this. Last week, when we talked about the different stages, was a reading that I then quoted in my sermon by Rachel Held Evans, the late Rachel Held Evans, called On the Days I Believe. And so I'll offer this. On the days I live in harmony, I know, along with Martin Luther King Jr., that love is the greatest force in the universe, that it is the heartbeat of the moral cosmos, and that when I love, I truly participate in the being of God. On the days that I live in harmony, I can see belovedness and beauty all around me. I can see it in smiling eyes above masks. I can see it in the squirrels playing outside my window. I can see it and feel it in the touch of a hand on my shoulder. On the days that I live in harmony, I can show up as a human being, without labels, without judgment, encountering other human beings and seeing in them a glimmer, a glimpse of divine love. And I can offer them my curiosity, my respect, and love in return. On the days I live in harmony, I believe that God, however I name God on that day, that loving presence, that creative wisdom, that great mystery, that love and mystery seeks deep communion and friendship with every being, every creature on the earth. And on the days that I live in harmony, I know that when I follow the teachings of Jesus, that then I touch my highest self, my purpose, and my joy. And on the other days, I try to remember that because of love, that when I stray from that to which I aspire, I am still known, still loved, and I can return and be pulled by that love every moment that I am open to it. So friends, may you and I commit to a faith that primarily and ultimately expresses itself in love. Amen.
Precious Lord, take my hand, lead me on, help me stand. I am tired, I am weak, I am worn. Through the storm, through the night, take me on to the light. Take my hand, precious Lord, lead me home. Precious Lord, you're the one that I build my life on. You're my rock, you are my hope, you are my song. You picked me up and made me strong when my way, when it was wrong. Here's my hand, precious Lord, lead me home. When my way grows drear, precious Lord, linger near. When my life is almost gone, hear my cry, hear my call. Take my hand, lest I fall. Take my hand, precious Lord, lead me home. Take my hand, precious Lord, lead me home.
Thank you, Linnell and Karen, for that beautiful rendition of Precious Lord, Martin Luther King Jr.'s favorite song. We're so glad that you joined us today and hope that you have been inspired, that this service has given you something to reflect on during the week, to nurture you and to lift you up. Thank you so much for joining us. If you'd like to talk more about these stages of faith, there's going to be a second hour at 11:45 we'll start, and we'll just go 45 minutes to 12:30. And this book that we've been talking about, Faith After Doubt, is really meant to be talked about in groups. So I hope that a number of you will want to come and just kind of an open discussion. I'll guide us a little bit, but it's to hear from you about faith. I remind you that next Sunday, after the service, we will have our annual congregational meeting. It'll be on Zoom. Expect an email on Tuesday giving you all the details, the agenda, all the documents so that you can be prepared. You'll get a 2-minute video from our moderator, Dave Chandler, telling you more about that meeting. And we're hoping that a number of you will be there. We need quorum, and that's 75 people. And our congregational meetings are wonderful. So please do plan to attend that. I hope you have a wonderful day tomorrow and live King's legacy in a way that brings you joy. We're going to end today's service not with a hymn, but with a wonderful piece of music by the Oakland Interfaith Gospel Choir. A friend of mine sings in that choir, and I was able through her to get their permission to use this piece. And it's just fun, has a wonderful message. So stay online to be lifted up by this piece of music. Then we'll have the benediction, and we'll get one more blessing of Zach and Karen on the tuba and piano.
All right, let's go.
Mama, getting us ready for that great day. Mama, getting us ready for that great day. Mama, getting us ready for that great day. What shall be
And beloved, as you go forth, live the legacy of Martin Luther King Jr. in your own way, remembering that God has no hands but your hands, no feet but your feet, no face but your face. And may the blessing of the Holy One, that source of love itself, remain with you now and always. Amen.
My name is Cheryl Johnson, and I'm one of the ministers here at the Congregational Church of San Mateo. Today, I'd like to start off by saying thank you. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for becoming a part of our community. We are so grateful to have you with us. Today, I would like to extend an invitation. That invitation is for you to move from the sidelines straight into our sightline. We'd love to get to know you better so that we can be church with you and be church for you. We want to know how to pray for you, how to support you, how to develop a church that will provide you the most meaningful and the most spiritually enriching opportunity that is possible. Also, church is not a spectator sport, but it's a two-way street. We want to also get to know the skills that you have, the time, the abilities, whatever you may have that might enrich and enliven our church community. Also, we'd like to invite you to consider becoming a monthly donor. That is another way that we pool our resources and be able to offer more together than we could ever do apart. So thank you so much for being part of our community already, and please do just take that next step, share your information, reach out so that we can really co-create and rebuild our lives together and our church together as we go forward boldly into the future.